Hi, I'm Pox.
I'm Couch Guy.
You're watching the Two Smart Guys show, where every week we bring you the latest and greatest in technology, news, mods, hacks, and
Whatever's going on in Pox's life.
yeah, just general things that we find interesting or we're happening to work on at this time that we think you might like. And I thought I'd share with everybody a little project that I'm working on. I keep recording this episode on electric cars, and yet I have yet to post it. I might re-record it again someday if people find this interesting. But just this episode's about charging electric cars.
Well, let's just say that we've had a problem in the garage/studio for a while. One, you own an electric car.
I own an electric car.
Two, you also own a green screen studio in your garage.
Yes, and I've got lighting in there, and we have heat
all
issues.
Things that, well, not only that, okay, you have lighting, you have heating, and you have an electric car. And you have not enough power.
No. So,
and that's a bad thing. Power is something you need to have in your life.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in the kind of work that we do.
So a couple things about electric cars and how you power them. They need power. That's how they work. They got a big, huge battery in them, and you got to charge them up. And if you look at some of the news about like the Tesla Motors cars, they have these superchargers that are on the East Coast and West Coast that run on huge solar panels and battery banks that will charge up your car in like a half hour to, I think, like 80% or so capacity. So you can get from one major city to the next, so you can drive, a couple hundred miles. Here in the middle of Wyoming, don't really have that.
Not possible.
No. So you need to charge my vehicle.
What is the average time it takes to charge your car? So, like, for an average day, from a day of use?
So what it comes with is a little 120 wall charger, and it uses, what is it? I think 10 amps, 10 to 15 amps.
Yeah.
And it takes about 8 to 12 hours to charge.
Which, in Pox's life, doesn't exist every day.
So, yeah. So usually I can get a full charge overnight, but if I come home for like lunch or if I'm at home for any period of time and I plug it in,
or if he works late and works early,
I might get 1 mile of extra battery, but that's about it, which is not even hardly worth plugging in.
And so the principle behind the upgrade that you're doing, you're adding what to your garage?
So
let's just tell people.
Okay, so I have 2 20 amp breakers in there now. So that doesn't run half of the things that are in there at any given time.
It barely runs a car charger. Are you kidding?
Yeah. So we're running a sub panel from the house to the garage with 100 amps, so it can power the 40 amp 220 watt charger that can charge the car in
4
hours.
240.
Yeah. 240.
120, 240.
Yeah, 240. So it'll cut down the time to charge.
It'll more than half.
Yeah.
It'll cut your time in more than half, because the more power and don't ask me how phase stuff works, but this is how I know. 120 to 240 changes the way the power can be fed into your machine, and it will literally cut it in half. And it's actually probably more than half. It's probably down to like a quarter of the time it would normally.
And other than just shaving off time, there's other advantages in electric cars to having a higher amperage charger. The management system that conditions the battery while charging doesn't have to run as long, so it's more efficient. So it'll actually use less energy to charge it. And in the wintertime, it'll warm up your car in the mornings for you without having to waste your battery, which makes a huge difference, because in the wintertime here in Wyoming, your battery goes like almost a half-life during the winter because of all the heat that has to be generated when you're trying to keep yourself warm.
Yeah. Well, in reality, any time that you're talking about, your home and what you want to do and the lifestyle of techno-lustingness of, you're talking multiple computers and your, whiz-bang systems and things like this. When I lived in the same city, I rewired a house, and because the original house had maybe 100 amp service to it, and of that, like in the living room, the living room, and most people are in this way, the living room, the bedrooms, and like the bathroom all ran off one circuit, which meant that if my wife plugged in the hairdryer and I flipped on the television and all kinds of things like that, it would trip the circuit.
Yeah, one of the first houses I rented, when you wanted to run the dryer, all the lights in the house would dim.
Yeah. So things to consider when you're talking about upgrades to your man cave house in general, your workspace, things like that, is to how to properly, and this is a very dangerous qualifier, properly expand your ability to utilize power. Because if you need it and it's not there, all you'll do is waste your time, because it will never be there when you need it. If that's the case, you need to find a way to, and it doesn't necessarily mean adding outlets. Adding outlets is like adding more sprinklers on one hose. You have the same amount of water going through the hose, you're just having more places it's coming out to, so it means you have less pressure. In our case, you have less available power. So sometimes in upgrading power to your house and upgrading how you get power to different areas properly with an experienced professional is a big deal. And when you're talking about geek stuff and things like that may need power, you're talking with people who want to have a home business where they're doing 3D printing and all things like that. Pox's case, he is huge into the electric vehicles, and he's not going to go away from that. He's building his approach so that he can efficiently charge his vehicle and have the studio and have everything else that he wants to have in his life.
Yeah, the garage studio and this cool little thing, so you can just pull it from the roof down to plug in instead of having like draping across the floor.
You know what? If you're ever looking for a house and you're looking for a way to utilize your garage for an electric vehicle or for a studio space and things like that, the thing you should look for that I've learned this from looking for houses. Find an old welder's house, because more often than not, the guy that was welding in his garage possibly ran a 220 line or a 240 line to his house or to his garage, has a little plug in there. Things like that add these availabilities. Little things that I learned.
Yeah, so so the bottom line is, if you're looking into getting an electric car, you have an electric car, you're gonna want to be able to charge it. So you're gonna want to have to upgrade your power to your garage or wherever you're storing your vehicle, especially if it's 100% electric car, because those ones.
Yeah, something's gonna have to get. It's just not big enough pipeline.
Yeah.
To do it efficiently and speedy.
You don't want to wait days to charge your car to drive it.
Well, and some people's lifestyle, having an 8-hour, downtime of their vehicle is possible.
Yeah.
Your lifestyle does not give that. You get home late, you get out early. Most days you do not have time.
And mine's a Volt, so it still drives without electricity. It'll run on gas, but I'm trying really hard to keep it as much electric as possible because it's significantly cheaper to drive that way. So.
Well, those of us who just drive gas don't know how that works. So.
Anyways, post in the comments below if you want to see more of electric vehicles, and I can show off the Volt and explain some more about electric cars and other things. We're considering some possibilities of shows on solid state discs. What do you got? We're
always interested in the hows and what's of making of via video production, web show production, things like that. We've done lots of that. We've had lots of really good questions based off that. There's nothing saying that this stuff can't be done by you, and we are happy to share what knowledge we have in that. Not to mention, we will absolutely be playing around with any toy gadget that hits our fancy, but frankly, there's not a lot. We hit things here and there, but there hasn't been that much that's coming out that I'm really excited about. Don't lie.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next week.
Yay!
Bye. Please subscribe to the feed.
This has been Two Smart Guys Production.